Hi, welcome back. Let's have some fun today and create a two-page spread in my Dylusions art journal. Come along. Hello everyone, welcome back to my studio. I'm going to do a spread in my art journal today, and I've just put black gesso down on these two pages, and I chose this Calypso stencil by Joggles, and I'm just going to start creating a background. And I'm going to use distress paint in tea dye and peeled paint. I'm just going to put some on my mat. I find that's the easiest to control so I don't get bleed through. I'm going to go for a textured sponge. Just like that, with the little holes in it. See what we get. I'm not looking for a heavy application. I just want a light all over pattern in my background. That I like over the black. Very pretty. Now I'm thinking, see, we were this way. I may go, this should be good and dry. I'm going to line it back up. And I'm just going to go on top of it in certain areas with this peeled paint, this yummy green gold color. Just going to use the edge of my sponge, and let's put a little in there, a little up here, just for some pops of color in the background. It may end up getting covered up, that's okay. Next, I am going to get a couple of pieces of burlap ready to go on here. I have this yummy hand-dyed burlap. You see the variations in the color. And the cut edges, I just pulled some threads out to fringe it off. And I may cut one in half. I have two pieces. But what I want to do is put some plaster on these. So let me move this for a minute. And hopefully it will come off of my mat. I don't know. We'll do it on the nonstick. And I'm going to use rigid wrap. It's just like a gauze impregnated with plaster of Paris. Very fun and easy to use. And I'm just going to cut a piece smaller than the burlap. I want it a little bit wider. Got a little stingy with that one. Let's go like that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, one side is a little smoother than the other. I don't really think it makes any difference. And I'm just going to take a kind of a stiff brush in some water and just wet this. You can use your hands if you want to. I'm not quite ready to get super messy, because if I end up with this white plaster dust all over my fingers at this point, it's going to get all over my black page. So I'm just going to use the brush. Just get it wet. And then the more you go over it, the smoother the plaster is. And it should stick right on there. It's going to take a while to dry. I may get it started with my hand dryer. I hope it's going to stick. Just need to get more of the plaster off of it and worked into the burlap underneath. So we see less holes. The holes will fill in with the plaster. And I like the strings coming off of the sides too. Okay. I think that's good. I'm going to dry it some. As it dries, it will become more rigid, and it may take a few hours before I can actually put this on my, well, I could put it on my page, but it's not going to be dry for me to do anything on top of it. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. Thinking some drywall tape on here. I'm just gonna run it down there. And maybe across here, I'm going to come across the page with it. I think coming across the fold like this just kind of helps bring the pages together more like one cohesive unit as opposed to two separate pages. Alright, that's got adhesive on it, but I'm going to end up going over it with matte medium and color and whatever. So I want to collage some of this pattern paper. It's just vintage dress pattern, but the color's good. I like using this. This black is probably going to melt into the background a bit more than it does when you put it on a lighter color background, but that's okay. And I like the torn edges. So some will stay and some will go away. Okay, I'm going to use an old brush and put some of this rust paste on the drywall tape, starting with the brown underneath color first. It's got a lot of texture to it, so you'll see pieces go flying. Kind of frustrating because it's a fairly new set of pastes and they're already drying out, so I'm not too happy about that. Now here I just want to try to get the white, excuse me, the white of the tape with a little of the brown color so it's not sticking out so much. Go off the edge a little bit here and onto this paper. Okay, that's the brown. Then we have the rust color, red rust oxide. It's going to go out of the lid here before this ends up dried up too. And just tap it and pull it. Not exactly looking for a, oh, that's a rusty something, but more just for the color and the texture as opposed to a realistic looking rusty. It works really good on if you have some metal embellishments or old jewelry or things like that. You want it to look like rusty elements. It works really good for that. And then finally on top of that goes the rust gold. Okay, and I cut the heads off of a couple of Tim Holtz paper dolls. And I have these little frames that are 7 Gypsies Architextures. So I just put the faces in there. They're going to go on here somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. Try to decide where these want to be. Maybe there, like that. I'm going back to my Distress Paint and Tea Dye, and I'm going to go over these plaster areas with some watered down paint just to make them a little less white. Probably should move that. And it gives kind of a mottled effect, and that's fine with me because it's going to absorb the paint not evenly, which is fine. I like that much better. Sticking with our vintage look, maybe we'll do this one a little lighter. And I don't, like I said, I don't mind some of that white peeking through. I just didn't want the whole thing to be really stark white because it doesn't really flow very well. Okay. Dauber tops are pretty handy. Kind of an ingenious thing that they came up with. I have this pretty mulberry paper. It's just kind of a grayed off white with little brown pieces of mulberry pulp in it. So I just tore it. I love the way it tears with the fibery edges. And I'm going to put it underneath these burlap pieces offset like this. So I'm just going to get those down with some matte medium. And some of this will melt into the background too, but it's just another layer of texture and letting some of that background show through. And you won't see all of that because I am going to put those on just kind of offset a bit. And I hope we'll see when they dry. If they're too light against that black background, I'll do the same thing I did on the plaster and use the tea dye paint color to water it down and just color it out a little bit so it's not quite so stark white. Okay, a lot of the white did come back as I dried this, so I'm going to just put some of this tea dye again. I'm just going to use my fingers and kind of push these edges back a little bit. Add a little of that color around the edges, just kind of unevenly. It'll also pick up some of those fibers and show them off a little more. You don't need to cover the whole thing. I just want to add a little color and push the lightness back a bit. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's much better. Okay, I'm going to do the other one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the green on this one. Why not? I'm gonna 'cause I can. It's my book. Yep. I'm going to put a little on here too. I'm going to wet my finger and water that down. Just get a little bit going on this piece here. Yep, I'm going to do the other one too. Just a subtle little bit of green in there. Running out here on my craft mat. Just going to pat it in. Not exactly sure what I'm doing on top of these yet, so it may or may not even matter, but I like it in there. Alright, if you know me, you know that I like drips, so I think it's time for some drips. And I'm just going to get a rag ready down here at the bottom of my journal. And I'm going to use fluid acrylic, Titan Buff, a wet brush, make that nice and juicy. I'm going to start right here over this drywall tape and let it run down in between those, the mesh of the tape. chosen some collage pieces to finish this off. So I'm going to start gluing stuff down, and some things may need a slight color shift, but we'll get that after I get it glued down. So this says all the rules have changed. Just came from a magazine. I think it was for an ad for wool. Okay, and then this says talk less, listen more. And that was just the right color for this layout, so I'm using it. And then I have these ruler pieces that came from some scrapbooking paper from Canvas Core Brands, I believe. So I want that right down that. I may need to use some heavy matte medium if this doesn't want to stick. Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. Where is it? Excuse my head. This is just matte super heavy gel because it needs to get down in the sleeve of the drywall tape, the holes in the drywall tape, to stick. Just not working with the fluid matte medium. Push it in. And take that off its acetate. The little frame is 7 Gypsies Architextures, and it does have a bit of adhesive on the back, but I'm just gonna give it some more along with the paper doll. I just want him right there at the end of the ruler. Have a thing for old measuring devices and numbers. I just like them. Okay, same thing over here. Start with the heavy gel. Hopefully these are dry enough. I'm going to use the heavy gel for these too, obviously, because I think it would be okay if that's over too far. Come over here. If the edges of these pieces of burlap aren't stuck down, I think that's okay. Well, that seems to have stuck pretty good. I have some numbers, and I just picked these numbers randomly. They were just chapter title page, you know, the numbers from the book chapter title pages. I'm always happy when I find an old book that's got large numbers, because they come in handy. I like them. I do. I like numbers. Now these guys they were on one illustration like that, holding hands, but I cut them apart. So he's kind of got a chopped off arm, but I don't mind. I don't know if he does, but I don't mind. But they were on sort of a floral background in these same kind of peachy and green tones, so, and vintage looking, so that was a no-brainer. They were meant for this page. And I just envision her telling him, the rules have changed. Talk less, listen more. And if she didn't tell him that, she probably should have. So, I think it's Stabilo time. And I probably should dry that better first. Do we like that? Just a little washi tape, just for a little added color. That one there, and this one over here. There. Just gonna go around the outside of this with my brown Stabilo and activate it. Okay, I'm calling this done. I hope you enjoyed watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it if you did so. Hit that notification bell and you will be notified when I upload all my videos, which I try to do once or twice a week, sometimes more if I have time. And in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.